There, over there. There we go. All right. Let me close this down and check the volume for you guys. That'll pop up here in just a second. But hey, this is Kurt Von Anen. I am your host of the Mañana No Mas morning check-in. And today is it's November 9th, 2020. So welcome to the daily check-in. So a sense of overwhelming, right? And so sometimes you get too much and you got to process things down and you got to go, okay, settle down, settle down. And I'll tell you, 2020 has taught me a few things. And that is, one of the number one things is do not count the sale until the money is in the bank. So many potential contracts and jobs and affiliations this last year were great conversations that didn't materialize, that didn't happen. And so I want to be super, super careful to not get over anxious or overly excited. And some people say, "Oh, well, don't be depressing. Be an optimist." And it's not about being negative versus being positive. It's about being real, right? At the end of the day, there has to be money in the bank if you're going to be doing something. So I don't want to get overly excited, but I do want to share a couple things with you. One, um, talk to a power sports distributor, and they are very interested in the content that I've created for the Power Sport Academy. And, you know, it's hard to put your finger on it. It's hard to go, okay, why? Why does this not, how come this isn't plug and play? If I can show dealers time and time and time again, how to increase their parts and labor revenue in their departments by hundreds of thousands of dollars, then why aren't they signing up their people for training? And there's lots of answers to that. One, maybe I'm not hitting the right people. Maybe my marketing's not that good. Maybe they don't see themselves, you know, maybe they look at their environment and they go, we already got this dialed, Kurt might have been able to help that shop get $800,000 this year, but my shop's running really busy. I don't think we could do that, you know, and that's specifically who I'm talking to, right? I'm talking to dealers that they think they've got it dialed, but once they let somebody in the back door and you see, the gaps in efficiency and the gaps in productivity and the lack of process, you realize, oh yeah, you're busy. You're busy because you didn't put a process to this. You're busy because you're allowing the department to manage you instead of you managing the department, right? And so you end up in these situations where I think maybe I'm working with people that aren't ready to be worked with. And so fast forward that to, you know, different distributors need this kind of training. Think about this. If I work with a dealership and they increase their parts and labor sales by 50%, by 40%, I mean, what difference does an extra 40% in parts volume equal for a distributor that's selling through that establishment, right? And so if I can help the distributors increase their sales, well, then that's another viable pathway for me to sell the content that I give. And I love giving the content. I love working with the service writers and the service managers. I love watching the lights come on and having them go, oh man, I can really do this. I can really make this a profitable thing. And then so the dealers benefit, the distributors benefit. And at this point, it's, who's going to compensate me for the training and for the energy. And so had a really, really good conversation with a distributor that might be willing to put themselves in that process. So super excited about that. The next thing is I told you guys last week that we're going to have the Power Sports Roundtable, and this Power Sports Roundtable is going to bring together a sales expert, a BDC expert, a service expert, ding ding ding, and hopefully a social media expert to have basically a half day, 3/4 day virtual summit online for dealer principals to attend, general managers, things like that, and to see what it is that we're so excited about and what they're missing out on, right? These professionals that I have lined up are top notch. They come to the table prepared. They have great products. They have great services. Their information is solid. Their personality is strong. The energy is good. And so I'm looking forward to a really good Power Sport Roundtable to bring these people into and go, okay, here we go. Here's the audience. What do they want to learn? Here's the agenda. Let's get to it, right? And so I'm super, super excited to try and bring that, to a whole nother level. So on one hand, I'm setting up this Power Sport Roundtable to sell the Power Sport Academy to dealerships. And on the other hand, I've got a distributor talking to me about, basically putting me under contract to do stuff with them. And so, I've got to be a little careful about how all that lines out. But here's the deal. No one's put money in my bank account yet. That's what I was talking about, right? And so when somebody puts money in the bank account, well, then we can have that conversation about, okay, well, you've bought the rights to, or you have, this is a conflict, or this is not a conflict, or this is a pre-existing contract, or, those conversations can happen. They're to operate on the idea that you can't do this because this might happen. That is how poor people stay poor, right? So I definitely don't want to miss opportunities or leave things on the table. Next thing, and I know that this is just Monday morning, but I'm going to spitball this with you. I met with we use the term power partner a lot, right? So I met with a power partner about the project that I've been alluding to over the last month, and he was expecting to see maybe a landing page. That's kind of what I gathered from him during the call today. I've been telling you folks, I've been working on this. So you see me every day checking in, right? And going, hey, I've been working on this special project, right? So we met and we're basically doing an exchange. He's doing some marketing work for me and taking some stuff off my plate so I can focus on this project. And then I'm focusing on this project and making these great strides that he wasn't really aware had been happening already. So I said, hey, pardon me. And I said, hey, why don't you give me the screen share and I'll show you what we've got so far. And so instead of a landing page, I showed him a website, and that website is, I'm going to say 85% done as far as text and graphics and some content, right? I didn't want to make it like super heavy. I wanted to make it, kind of a light package. And so I showed him the functionality of that page. And then I said, this is how I intend to blow this out more. And so I showed him, what my intentions were. And he was like, oh, goodness, right? And then I said, and here's what the website can do. And I showed him the functionality of being able to let this site make other sites for other people to promote their services. So I don't want to give away all the magic sauce, right? But basically, I've built a platform that allows people to quickly and easily and very affordably build a site based off of a template that does a very specific thing online. And that site, my site, can duplicate that action over and over again in an unlimited way for as many subscribers that want to host that very specific online thing within my framework. And so I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. There's some details that, we discussed today. I'm going to change a couple of things. He's going to, get me some feedback on some things. We really had to have a talk about, what the finances would look like and things like that. But here's the long and short. Long and short is I'm super stoked that for the last three projects, I've been able to come to the table with a firm idea of what I want to implement, right? So a firm idea of, hey, if I could build this, would you think this was cool? And then to go from that to, hey, this is my plan to build it, and this is my plan to market it, right? And so I've been able to come to the table each of these times, and not only has the product been solid, but the timing has also been really, really good, right? I mean, if you take a look at the Power Sport Academy, for example, the Power Sport Academy, I wanted to take that online long before COVID hit, right? But I was building an online training platform for service writers and service managers before that was really a requirement. And then COVID broke out, and it was like, well, I've got the perfect product in the perfect time for I'm going to say not the perfect price. Um, Truth is, I underestimated the value of that training quite a bit. And for just $3,500 of training, I'm giving people the information to go out and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, typically I want to 10x the experience, right? Typically I want to say, okay, here's the knowledge I'm going to share with you. And if you implement this knowledge, you should see a 10x of your investment, right? And so if I'm giving people hundreds of thousands of dollars in value, I should have charged tens of thousands of dollars for the training and for the consulting, right? And instead, I just charged thousands instead of tens of thousands, right? And so I want to make sure I do it right with the next project, and make sure that I keep things even keeled. Make sure I keep things in the right framework, right? In the right frame of mind, from the right perspective. And so I've been working really, really hard on that. Other things that have been just really, really good, went mountain biking, got my health. The family's doing well. The kids are doing great in school. And so this is one of those deals where I say, how can I be grateful today? And Dan Martell, I've been looking for a way to mention you, Dan. Dan Martell sent me this book. I signed up for some SaaS training through Lifter LMS, and he sent the 5-minute journal as part of the onboarding package. And I started looking at this 5-minute journal, and I started going, wait a minute. This has a lot of the leadership principles in it that I would use, say, with John Maxwell material, right? Or how I've been, really focusing on being positive with Mañana no Mas. But then it says, well, how does it work? What are the basic principles? And you go through this thing, right? And you say, what's your morning routine? What's your bedtime routine? And then, what's your daily affirmations, right? So what are you positive with every day? It says, what's your night routine? Then it gives you weekly challenges. And now I've gotten up to the part where I fill in my commitment. And so, this is one of those things. You sign up for some training, they send you books, they send you t-shirts, coffee cups, all kinds of stuff, right? But when you start going through the content, you start to realize, wait a minute, there's value here, right? And so I'm going to throw this out to you guys. What is it that you're doing on a daily basis? Obviously, I'm making the morning check-in, right? The Mañana no Mas morning check-in. I want to make sure that I hold myself accountable to an audience. I want to make sure that I share things of value, and from a Gary Vaynerchuk perspective, right? Focus more on what I'm doing rather than what I'm saying sometimes, right? I'm taking actions every day to hold myself accountable to rise that next level, right? What's that guy's name? Frank Feather, the Slight Edge. I know the book is called The Slight Edge, and I think it was written by a guy named Frank Feather. I might have the author wrong. But anyway, it's that idea of every day doing that next thing, right? Every day, I try to add value to somebody. I try to send somebody something positive. I have no idea if Dave Gambrell sees my morning check-ins or not. I have no idea if he sees them. But, I see a lot of his. Dave Gambrell does kind of a morning message every day. And yesterday, I was looking for a way to update my webcam. So you'll notice in the next day or two that this fuzzy picture you're looking at here, right? What you're seeing to me is not a very good representation. I'd like to have a better camera. And I've looked at upgrading webcams, and I've looked at, trying different tools as webcams, different cameras as webcams. And I haven't been happy yet with finding something that I really liked. Well, I came across an article yesterday that's going to allow me to use, it gives you the directions on how to make your iPhone, a webcam. Here's the deal. This isn't my iPhone. This was my daughter's iPhone, and she smashed the screen on it, right? And so instead of throwing this thing in a bin or chucking it or electronically recycling it, what I'm going to do is, I know that the camera on the back is good. So I'm going to take this and mount this in position of my webcam. And then I'm going to, hopefully have a better visual experience with you guys moving forward. And so I'll probably get that set up today or tomorrow. But that's what I'm saying. Every day, there's some new piece of information or some new action I take to improve the current situation. Now, I would love it if, my special project really was $1 million idea. I would love it if people would say, 10, 15 years from now, holy crap, man, that Kurt guy, he was just like those other dudes. He started something in his garage, and it was the right product at the right time at the right price, and it just took off. And now look at him, tens of millions of dollars. Like, hey, that'd be a great, great story. But here's reality. Reality is none of that's happened yet. I'm still a guy working in my garage, in this workspace, and I'm doing everything I can to stay positive every day, to hold myself accountable and talk to you every day, and find additional tools that I can leverage to help myself get there. Now, as far as input goes, so this book is more like output. This book is a journal, and it gives you instructions at the beginning, but then inside the book, it's a journal to write down, what would make today great? What's a daily affirmation? What are 3 amazing things that happened today? And how could I made today even better, right? And so you fill in that journal, and then the idea is you can page through it and you can say, what were good days? What were bad days? How can I keep track of my wins and my losses? And so this is an output product, right? But to me, it's also important to have really good input. And so Streams in the Desert is a book that I gave to my son. He reads that on the daily. And I have A Leader's Heart by John C. Maxwell. Now, when I get into A Leader's Heart by John C. Maxwell, what I'm able to do here is I'm able to go to the day. And so now we're back here at November 7th, right? And so it says the price of commitment, and it gives me a scripture, right? I always tell you guys I'm a man of faith, right? I don't hide that. It says 2 Chronicles 31, verse 20 and 21. It says, thus Hezekiah did throughout all Judah, and he did what was good and right and true before the Lord his God. And every work that he began in the service of the house of God, in the law and in the commandment to seek God, he did it with all his heart. So he prospered. So scripture can be hard to read. There's a lot of commas in there, right? It says, and in every work that he began in the service of the house of God, in the law and in the commandment to seek his God, he did with all his heart. So he prospered. What's a good way to say that, like for you and me, right? For you and me, in layman's terms, it could be everything he did to the best of his ability to celebrate his relationship with God, right? He does everything in his life as if God was his audience, right? So there's ways to rephrase things when you're reading them to bring them more to life for yourself. So this Hezekiah guy is obviously someone that's pretty stout, right? Faithful guy. It says here, the Bible describes King Hezekiah as a leader who did what was good and right and true before the Lord his God. And in every work he began, he did it with all his heart. Hezekiah paid the price to get the job done. But what was the price of commitment? Well, Hezekiah had to change a lifestyle. Hezekiah couldn't live the way his father lived. Hezekiah is one of the only 2 righteous kings in the Old Testament. So when you read scripture and you understand the context of those things, it can really come to life for you. It says loneliness. Hezekiah stepped out in obedience, alone at first. So, everyone's, in our terms, everyone's going to the strip club, you don't go, right? That was a little more direct. You're a teenager and everybody's stealing beer from the liquor store, but you don't, right? Faith in God. Says Hezekiah believed God would bless his efforts. Criticism. Hezekiah weathered the harsh questions of an older generation, right? Whenever you make yourself an outlier, whenever you take the path less traveled, you got to be ready for people to go, hey, what are you doing over there, man? Why are you out there in the weeds, right? Hard work and money. Says the king gave up time, energy, and budget to reach his goals. Daily discipline. Hezekiah had to install a daily regimen to bring about reform. And you'll see that in scripture. It talks about what Hezekiah did every day. And then constant pressure. The king endured the pressure of potential failure and misunderstanding, right? And then it says, how do you pay the price for commitment? And so I think about, this last year, I think about 2020 a lot when I read. So remember I said one book was for output, one book's for input, right? And so I read that John Maxwell piece, that devotional. I read that in the morning, and it starts asking me, like, what's the price that you would pay for that commitment? Like, what commitment are you making now? What price is that to pay? And then, so you think about 2020 and you go, did I go to work? Did I stay at home? Did I, like in my case, I took a job training in public with the county of Los Angeles, 50 people in a classroom. You know, could I have gotten COVID? Could I have gotten sick? Could I have gotten killed on the 60-mile commute on the highway to Los Angeles? Yes, 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 all those things. But the good far outweighed the risk. I got back in front of an audience. I was able to more finely tune my communication skills. I was able to display my talent to potential contract hiring people. So the company that hired me was pleased with my performance. AT&T was pleased with my performance. The county was pleased with my performance. So lots of positive things came out of that, but there was the cost. There was the price to go and do it. Right. And so as I look forward to these new projects I'm launching, right, does this website take a certain amount of faith and belief in myself that I can pull this off? Absolutely. Do I need to be vulnerable to people that would be willing investors or partners in the project? Absolutely. Right. So am I putting myself out there a little more than a lot of people would be comfortable with? Probably. Right. But do I know that the potential for success, monetary, personal, and otherwise, do I know that the potential for success is a lot higher than someone who didn't take any chances or pay any price? Absolutely. Right. Risk not, win not, right? You gotta put yourself out there. So I've let this go on a little bit longer than I maybe should have. I like these morning messages. I like checking in with you. I pray that they bring value to you. I'm super, super stoked. Like I said, I mean, I say it all the time. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on. The web projects are going well. I finally got some attention on the power sports product, which, that was a lot of work. Talk about paying the price. Building that site and putting together that curriculum and making that site function the way that it does was a lot of work. And then to have people not sign in right away and take advantage of it was a real kick in the pants. It really was. But when a manufacturer or a distributor comes along and goes, whoa, 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 who made this? We got to talk. Can you do this for us? When that happens, that's the win, right? That's the win. When I first wrote service writing in black and white, people thought I was crazy. Stayed up till 3:00 in the morning, writing paragraphs and chapters. And I wrote that little small book, it's only about 100 pages thick, and it's a quick read. And I wrote that, I published that. People thought I was crazy. I just had to clean my brain, right? I just had to get that. I had to exercise it. And so I put that stuff out there, and next thing you know, people were buying it, and it led to a training career with Ducati, led to expanding my career with Suzuki for automotive, marine, and power sports. And I had already had experience in the automotive world. So all of a sudden, I'm an expert in all things service for almost all travel industries, right? I've worked with the airlines, I've worked with automotive, power sports, marine, personal watercraft. I'd like to say I'd formally done something with the RV area, but I haven't really done formally with RV. But I'd like to. I'm open to it. We used to have a motorhome repair division at the Ford store I worked at in Colorado, but I don't know if I would, formally call that RV experience, right? Other than running that service part of the counter. So anyway, we got to pay the price. We got to make ourselves vulnerable. We got to make a sacrifice for a future win. And then when those wins come, you got to stop, smell the roses, pat yourself on the back, and then formulate the plan to get to the next milestone. And so today was, like I said, it was a little overwhelming, the conversations. And I've got another conversation to have tomorrow with somebody. I said, but when I get those conversations done, I'm going to have to take a moment, celebrate the wins, do a mental reset, and figure out what the next milestones are. And so I encourage everybody, if I'm talking in a language that's foreign to you, man, I've got all of this stuff in the Mañana Nomás Academy that is just waiting for you to consume it. We've got like 20 courses in there, right? In the Mañana Nomás Academy, you go to mañananomás.com, click on Academy, and man, you'll see there's like 20 courses in there. I think 3 of them are free. And in fact, we just launched, we're doing a Black Friday sale all month. So if you are open to any kind of personal development training in leadership, goal setting, or fitness, I would definitely jump into the Mañana No Mas Academy and see if we've got something in there that attracts you. It's 20% off for the whole month. So, and some stuff's free. So just go in there and check it out. If you're new to online learning, I'd say take a free one first. See if it's even something that speaks to you. If you like the experience, then take a look at the rest of the menu and we'll go from there. All right. Folks, I say it all the time. I know you're probably tired of hearing it, but it's true. I love you. Take care of yourself. Be inspired. I hope I'm adding value to you. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, I'd love to have them. Send them to me. You can use the contact link on Mañana No Mas, or you can hit up whichever channel you've seen this